Hello and welcome to this tutorial. Today we will be learning installation of the latest Kali version, which is 2020.2 on Virtualbox. In this topic we will be covering installation of Virtualbox and installation of Kali Linux 2020.2. We will guide you through the entire process of installing Kali Linux step by step. Before we begin, you will need a computer connected to the internet. We will be assigning RAM and hard disk space to the virtual machine. So a minimum of 1 GB is to be assigned. However, it is recommended that 2 GB or more RAM is assigned to the system. It is also advised to assign 16 to 20 GB of hard disk space to the system. Before we begin with any installation and downloading, one of the mandatory settings we have to take care of is something known as enabling virtualization in BIOS. What is BIOS? BIOS stands for Basic Input Output System. Its basic functionality is to provide runtime services for operating systems and programs and perform hardware initialization during the booting process. The next question is, what does enabling virtualization do? This allows an operating system to more effectively and efficiently utilize the CPU power in the computer so that it runs faster. This feature is also a requirement for many virtual machine softwares and is required to be enabled in order for them to run properly. The steps to enable virtualization are it is always a good thing to check whether virtualization is enabled or not before you start with all the hard work. To do so, press Ctrl, Shift and Escape to open the Task Manager. And under the Performance tab, you can check whether your virtualization is enabled or not. As you can see, I have already enabled virtualization on my machine. However, for those who have virtualization disabled, here are the following steps. A note: the following steps are for users having HP systems. So, if virtualization is not enabled, restart your PC. At the boot screen, press F2 key to enter BIOS. Using the right arrow key, navigate to System Configuration menu and press Enter. Select Virtualization Technology and press Enter. Select Enable, and thus you will have your virtualization enabled. Now let's begin. To download Virtualbox, we go to Google and search for Virtualbox. Virtualbox.org is the authenticated distributor of this software. Under the download section, select the OS that you are running and download the file accordingly. Since I am running a Windows system, I'll click on Windows Host. Apart from this, one thing that you need is the Virtualbox extension pack. So download the Virtualbox extension pack also. Once this is done, the next thing is downloading the ISO file. So we go and search for Kali Linux download, and Kali.org is the official site where you can find different versions of Kali system. The one which we will be installing today is the latest version or 2020.2 version. Now depending upon your system, whether it is 64-bit or 32-bit, you can install the file accordingly. The one which we are going to install is the Kali Linux 64-bit installer, or you can find a similar option for 32-bit systems. Either you can download the torrent file and then download it via using torrent, or you can directly install the file. I have this file installed already. So we'll move forward to the next step. Till then, you can pause the video and resume once your download is complete. Now once we have all the files ready, to install, we start by installing Virtualbox. So run the exe file of the Virtualbox, click on next, create start menus, create a shortcut, agree to all, select next and select yes. And as you can see, the file is installing. Once the download is finished, click on finish and the VirtualBox will start up. Once we have the VirtualBox up and running, we also want to install the extension pack that we had downloaded previously and agree to all the terms and conditions. Click yes. And as you can see, the extension pack installed. Now once we are done with this part, we start the actual installation of Kali. Before starting the setup, we first create the environment. So we click on new to create a new machine. Let us name our machine as Kali Linux 2.0. Select the location where you want to download the store the data of the machine. Let us say I am selecting D folder. Select the type as Linux and the version should be Debian. And now either 32-bit or 64-bit depending upon the file that you had installed and your PC configuration. Mine is 64, so I'll be selecting Debian 64. Now click on next. Assign a suitable amount of RAM. Minimum of 1 GB RAM is required. It is recommended that you assign 2 or more GB of RAM. Click on next. Now select create a virtual hard disk now. Click on select VirtualBox disk image. Next, dynamically allocated. Now this option, supposingly you allotted 20 GB of memory to your Kali machine and at one point you need to expand that machine. So dynamically allocated helps us to reassign memory space to our machine as per our wish. So select dynamically allocated, click on next. Now select the amount of hard disk space you want to dedicate for this machine. It is advised that 16 to 20 GB is at least assigned. Click on create and as you can see, we can see our machine here. Now before we begin setting up our Kali system, we need to make a few changes in the settings. So go to settings, in the systems, deselect floppy and select network. Under processors, assign the suitable amount of processors to the system. In display, in the screen menu, assign minimum amount of video memory. I'll be assigning say 40 MB to my system. Now click on storage and as you can see here is the optical drive. So click on optical drive. Now select the ISO file which you had installed previously. Now choose that file and your machine is all ready to go. Click on OK and as you start, the machine will load. Click or select graphical install. Select the language. I'll continue with English. Now select your location. Select the keyboard layout that is there on your laptop. Select the host name. I'll continue with Kali. You can enter whichever name you want. Now select the domain name. Since I have none, I'll click on continue. click select a full name or the new username. So this is the name that will be used during a login, the username. So I'll go ahead with Kali, username for your account, Kali again. Choose a password. Click on continue. Now here you want to select the guided use entire disk option. Choose the default option, select continue. It is recommended for new users that all files in one partition. So we click on continue and finish partitioning and write changes to the disk. So yes, we want to do that, hence continue. Select yes, we want to save these changes. Click on continue. So let us move ahead with the default tools and softwares. So let's click on continue and it will continue with the installation. Now once we are done with installing all the files, it asks us whether we want to install the grub bootloader, and we'll select yes. We'll select the Dave HDA option and we'll move ahead by clicking continue as it installs the bootloader. Now as it says the installation is complete, we click on continue. As you can see, the Virtualbox has successfully rebooted. Now it will prompt us with a login screen where we'll have to enter our username and password. The username will be Kali as per our settings during the installation part, and the password which you had set is to be entered. Enter your username as Kali. Enter your password and log in. And you have successfully logged in into your Kali machine.